Welcome back to the channel. My name is Big John. Proud you could be with us today. We're going to do a couple, three videos. They're going to be more of a lecture video uh, as opposed to being outside doing live fire, dry fire. We're still going to do some of those, but this is what we're going to do today. The first is going to be an update. Uh, I had started this video already and I got long-winded and I went into a lot of detail that probably was unnecessary, so I'm going to do it again. And hopefully this will be a little better and a little more concise. But it's there's a, believe it or not, there's a reason behind the madness when I get to the end of it. All right. For those of you who may not know, most everybody knows that June of last year I was diagnosed with gastric cancer. I've had 2 rounds of chemo, I've had radiation, I've had surgery, and the gastric cancer has come back. So I am a candidate for immunotherapy. That's what I'm doing, but it is going to be palliative in nature. My oncologist says that I have roughly a year to a year and a half life expectancy. So because of the treatments that I've received from the cancer, specifically some of the chemotherapy, I've also developed a mild to moderate case of congestive heart failure. And so my heart doesn't beat quite as efficiently as it ought to. And I'm on some medicine for it. I'm not having any issues, and no pain, no shortness of breath, no swelling, no edema, nothing like that. Just something we have to be careful about. But one of the things I wanted to bring up, well, 2 things actually. The first thing is lifestyle and diet. The second thing is stress. Lifestyle and diet. One of the things I was looking at specifically for congestive heart failure, not that it would reverse congestive heart failure, but it would help me manage my congestive heart failure, hopefully without medicine. My ejection fraction, which is the ability of my heart to pump, is approximately 40%. We would prefer it to be 50% or higher, which hypertension, which I had for several years, obesity, which I'd had for several years, and age, all contribute to congestive heart failure. So this is where our lifestyle is coming in. So how much was my hypertension was controlled by medicine, but how much was hypertension, obesity, and age, as opposed to blaming it completely on the chemotherapy? I don't think that's realistic or fair. It could be a combination thereof. So you've heard me talk about this before: physical therapy, PT training, being in the best physical condition we can be in. It's just that much more important, for our long-term health. Now, again, and you've heard me say this before, physical exercise profiteth little, according to the scripture. Doesn't mean it doesn't profit, but compared to spiritual training, it profiteth little. So let's get our spiritual side, working our salvation out. Not that we work for salvation or work to keep salvation, but as we go through sanctification, as we become set apart and become more Christ-like. Let's get that squared away first. Then, also at the same time, let's look at our physical therapy, our physical training, our weight, blood pressure, do we have diabetes, that sort of thing. Let's get those controlled as well. So one of the alternative, and I'm going to use air quotes for that, even though I don't particularly like air quotes, but one of the alternative treatments that I spoke with my cardiologist about, and no, excuse me, I've not spoken with my cardiologist, I spoke with my oncologist, my cancer doctor, is the ketogenic diet. Now, the ketogenic diet is the idea of swapping your body from burning glucose for a fuel source for our cells and our mitochondria to burning fat, which has multiple benefits. Dr. Western, and I apologize, I forgot his first name, but he's a cardiologist at Duke University. He is very strong on the ketogenic diet, amongst others. I really like Dr. Kim Berry. general practitioner in Camden, Tennessee. Look these guys up. Uh, a lot of our issues that we have as a society are lifestyle related, and if we controlled our diet, controlled our weight, exercised, a lot of the comorbidities that we have, whether it's diabetes, hypertension, congestive heart failure, would plummet as far as the severity and the rates of it. Now, we would still have them, you know, especially juvenile diabetes, type 1 diabetes, where the body doesn't produce insulin. Hey, that's going to happen, But a lot of what we deal with, if couldn't be outright reversed or prevented, could at least be managed just by physical training, physical therapy, and diet. So, for instance, Dr. Western had a gentleman sent to his office. Very bad congestive heart failure. It was so bad that he was on a heart transplant list. He basically didn't have a pulse. He had a little implanted pump that circulated his blood for him. So Dr. Western placed him on a ketogenic diet. He put him on supplements, magnesium, CoQ10, D-ribose, and omega-3, and physical therapy program. Now, the D-ribose is a form of sugar, which seems contrary to what we're talking about, but it's a different type of sugar. And it's very good for repairing muscle, especially the cardiac muscles and the mitochondria. He recommended 15 grams of it daily, 800 milligrams of magnesium citrate daily, orally, and then 100 milligrams CoQ10 3 times a day. Now, it took him 18 months. Now, the gentleman still has congestive heart failure. He always will. He will never get off his medicine. But apparently, he's no longer on the transplant list for a heart. And they're thinking about taking his pump out. So he has lessened the severity of the congestive heart failure. Now, some researchers, and this is very preliminary, but believe the ketogenic diet may be beneficial and related to solid tumor cancers, which is what I have. Now, this is not talking about leukemias or lymphomas that are blood cancers, but the idea that a high carb diet, where we eat a lot of sugar, a lot of carbohydrates, our glucose is elevated, the cancer cell is 100 times to 200 times more apt to absorb glucose than a regular cell is. Plus, the cancer cell cannot survive on fat. It's a fermentation process, and it has to have sugar. So, A, we're giving it a fuel source. B, what we're doing is, because our glucose is elevated, that we give, our body produces insulin to control our blood sugar, which is a growth hormone. So we're giving the cancer cell the two things it needs to reproduce, and it's a fuel source and a hormone. And so the idea is, if we decrease the glucose to where the body produces ketones and we're burning fat, then the idea is, hopefully, we starve the fuel source, we starve the growth hormone because our body doesn't have to produce insulin. Maybe it will slow the progression of the cancer. Not to say that it would cure it, not to say it would prevent it, but there's that possibility. If nothing else, we're not harming ourselves by doing this. This is a very healthy diet. So this is one of the things I've been doing. There's a couple other I'm doing. I don't want to talk about them right now because honestly, I'm not sure. I don't think they're going to hurt me by any stretch of the imagination, especially given the fact that what I'm doing already is going to be palliative, and I've got a short period of time, relatively speaking. But I don't want to put stuff out that's not true. So we may discuss that later, but we're not going to discuss it right now. How does this relate to what I want to talk to you about stress? Well, first off, just having disease is stress on the body, physically and mentally. So I have a physical stress on the body because of the disease process. I have a mental stress because of the disease process. Hey, I got bad mucus. That's hard on me. That's hard on my family. So the physical stress, the mental stress of what happens when I die, what happens to my wife and my daughter? Are they taken care of? So my stress level goes up. So The reason I'm bringing this up is we're looking at different types of stress. We have a mental stress, we have a physical stress. Now, the physical stress could be broken up as well. When I went to Max Velocity Tactical in West Virginia for his class, Combat Rifle, Combat Patrol, one of the things I noticed was if we were doing dry fire, so we weren't doing live fire, it was not as physically demanding for me as live fire was. And I didn't understand at that moment what was going on, because I had worked out to become cardiovascularly fit before I went up there, because Lord, everything we did was uphill. If you were moving to contact, it was uphill. Everything we did, it seemed like it was uphill. Now, that's not true. I mean, if we were breaking contact, we were coming back down the holler, and so we were coming downhill. But it just seemed like everything we did was anaerobic. You were breathing through your mouth, your nose, your ears, your belly button, anywhere, your eyeballs, anywhere you could get oxygen. And I didn't understand I can wear a pack, carry the same amount of gear, and if we're doing a patrol that's dry fire, I'm not exhausted. But if it's a break contact drill or it's a movement to contact or something along those lines, I'm actually carrying less gear. The terrain's the same. It's still up and down hills, but I'm carrying less gear, but I'm give out. I'm my energy levels are sapped, but it's stress. It's that elevated stress saying, okay, this is live fire. I can't screw up. If I screw up, somebody can get hurt, if that makes sense. So it was more demanding on me physically for that than it was the other. And I talked to Max about it, and he said that's what he agreed with. Yes, your stress level goes up, therefore it takes more energy. Now imagine that it's not only live fire, but these aren't targets that I'm shooting at. These are threats that are shooting at me and my loved ones. Imagine how high the stress level is now. We've done pegged out our tack. Our tachometer on our engines done hit the red line, and we're hoping we don't throw a rod, or have a heart attack. That's why physical therapy, our physical training, is so important, is because our heart has to be able to handle that initial stress, that shock, that, oh crap, here we go, and then maintain it and be able to perform. Now, if I'm looking at this, okay, and this is one thing Max told me, and I've always kind of took it to heart, and when I work out, this is kind of what I do. I just started running again. I've been walking, and I've been rucking, but I haven't run. I've always been a little big to run, but I always have, I've never, of course, I'm built like a mule, I'm not built like a thoroughbred, so I'm not fast, but I've always been able to go slower at longer distances without any injuries. But I was sitting on the pity pot. We had done a drill, and we had went up a hill, and I'm gonna be honest, I was sucking wind bad. And Max looked at me, and this has been a few years ago. I don't remember exactly how long ago it's been. Virginia was little, so probably 10, 12 years ago. So I probably wasn't 50 yet, but I'm bumping 50, And he looks at me, he said, "Why are you here?" And I said, "I have a wife and a daughter. I want to be able to protect them." He said, if and when they come, they're not going to care. Oh, well, he also asked me how old I was, and I told him. He said, if and when this happens, and we pray it doesn't, but if it does, they don't care how old you are. They don't care what kind of physical condition you're in. They don't care if you're battling cancer. You've got to be there for your family. You have to perform. So I want to encourage you. Let's keep pressing. Keep moving forward. Like we've said before, like I've said before, that I've heard other people say, Pat McNamara, John Mosby, can I whoop myself from a month ago? Can I outshoot myself from a month ago? The only thing floats downstream is dead. We got to fight to go upstream. That takes effort. That takes calories. That's what we have to do. Along those lines, I would highly, highly encourage. This is some of the things we're fixing to get into. Live fire. Add stress to your live fire. Physical stress. Kettlebells. Run. Sprints. Get your heart rate up. We can't simulate combat. If we could, I wouldn't want to anyway. I mean, I know you airsoft, paintball, that sort of thing, but it ain't the same thing because yeah, it may sting, but no harm, no foul. We can't simulate the stress a person would be under, and I've never been under that stress. I hope I never am. But if I can elevate the stress that I'm under through physical activity, or as oh goodness, I forgot his name when in-range TV, dudes watching dudes. I don't want to embarrass myself in front of somebody. Competitions, the stress level there. If we can still perform, now it's not going to be the stress of life and death combat, whether it's hands-on at the gas station, whether it's the end of the world as we know it, or without rule of law, call it what you want. An active shooter event at the church. It doesn't matter. We can't simulate that. But if we can give our mind something to say, I have been somewhat in this position before. From a physiological standpoint, my heart rate being elevated, lack of oxygen, I can't even say the word, breathing fast. I'll think about it after it's over with, but breathing at an elevated rate, trying to get oxygen in, but be able to control that and get our hits on target will be beneficial. Now, we still got to do our slow, steady state, or our high intensity interval training, our physical therapy training, whether with weights. Yes, that's important as well. But we can also add the other and make it fun. So that's some of the things we're fixed to look at. The 100-7. Now, you've heard me talk about this. As Brother Terry says, I've been aiming and aiming. I got to go to shoot, literally and figuratively, and show you the drill. The Carsarta drill, where it's a kettlebell drill, that sort of thing, where we're amping the physical aspect up to make it harder for us to get the hits, so that we learn to control our body. Because these guys, they're not good Samaritans. They're not going to come down my road and say, Big John's going through a lot right now. His wife's had surgery. He's battling cancer. He's only got a few months to live. They don't care. Actually, it makes me a bigger target, because they look at me that, hey, he may be an easier hit than somebody else. So, so as long as I'm here in the physical state, I have to do what I can do. Now, can I do what I did 2 years ago or last year before I was diagnosed? No. But I'm doing better than I was last month. I'm doing better than I was when I got out of surgery. Like I say, I'm running again. Now, I have to kind of walk up the hill, but I run down the hill. I run up the hill a little bit, and my speed is terrible. My times are terrible, but I'm running. So, what are you doing? And that's not it. Well, it is a challenge. It's not a slam. I'm exhorting you. I'm encouraging you. Let's keep pressing forward, pressing for the mark, spiritually and physically, emotionally, psychologically. Are we the men? Are we the parents we can be for our family? The guardians. So, all right. I'm sorry I was long-winded on that. I hope you got something from it. I hate to say this. I hear all the YouTube creators say, subscribe, hit the like button, join all that business, notifications. It helps the algorithms, Hey, I ain't doing this for a living. If something happens to me, hopefully this will still be here so people can learn from my mistakes and get a little background that can help them. But if you think this information has been useful, I would ask you to share it with your friends, your neighbors. Let's spread it around. Let's make ourselves to be stronger in every aspect, so we have stronger families, and we have stronger churches and stronger communities. So, comments, questions, criticisms, witticisms. Let me know if I can help you. Call me, email me, whatever. Get a hold of me. And till the next video, hope you have a great day.